to read the orders of the day.
Public Office Accountability Bill, second reading.
Now. Prime Minister, to move second reading.
Thank you very much. I beg to move that the bill be now read a second time. Before I come to the bill, Madam Deputy Speaker, I want to put on record in this House my own tribute to the police, the first responders, and in particular to the heroic actions of both the driver and members of staff on board the Doncaster to London train, where such a vile and horrific attack took place this weekend. We all share in the revulsion of this shocking incident, but there's no doubt that their collective action, their brave action, saved countless lives, and I know the whole country is grateful for that. Madam Deputy Speaker, 36 years ago, 97 men, women and children went to a Liverpool football match in Sheffield, an FA Cup semi-final, an occasion of joy, and they never came home to their families. Madam Deputy Speaker, I invite the House just to reflect on that simple statement of fact, what that might feel like. Nearly 15 years ago, when I was Director of Public Prosecutions, I met many of the Hillsborough families during the independent panel led by Bishop James Jones. I will never forget what they told me, their testimony, painful to tell, painful to hear, including the testimony of Jenny Hicks, who told me how she and her husband drove their 2 teenage girls to the game that day, and they had to drive back later with an empty back seat. Every single story, every single experience, painful to the core, unimaginable to the core. And so, Madam Deputy Speaker, before I come on to the bill and the contents of the bill, I want to begin this debate with a simple acknowledgement, long overdue, that the British state failed the families and victims of Hillsborough to an almost inhuman level. But, Madam Deputy Speaker, those victims and their families, their strength, their courage, their refusal to give up, a determination no matter what was thrown at them, to fight for people they'll never know or meet, to make sure that they never go through something like this again. They are the reason we stand here today with this bill. They are the reason why it will be known as the Hillsborough Law, and they are the reason, Madam Deputy Speaker, why we say clearly again what should have been said immediately, that their loved ones were unlawfully killed and that they never bore any responsibility for what happened in Sheffield that day. And we say it from this dispatch box today. Because, Madam Deputy Speaker, the entire country knows what happened next. You know, we often call Hillsborough a tragedy, but it's more than a tragedy, because the disaster was not down to chance. It was not an accident. It was an injustice. And then further injustice piled on top when the state subjected those families to endure from the police lies and smears against their loved ones, while the central state, the government, aided and abetted them for years and years and years. A cover-up by the very institutions that are supposed to protect and to serve. And, Madam Deputy Speaker, it is nothing less than a stain on modern history of this country. And yet, can we truly say that Hillsborough was an isolated example? No. Because there's also the Horizon scandal, Grenfell Tower, infected blood, the grooming gangs, Windrush, and more besides. And, Madam Deputy Speaker, we should also be blunt that there's a pattern common to all these scandals, that time and again the British state struggle to recognise injustice because of who the victims are, because they're working class, because they're black, because they're women and girls. That is the injustice that this bill seeks to correct, and I hope it commands the support of the whole House.
Would my right
I will.
I'm most grateful. Would you agree there are a couple of things missing from this otherwise excellent bill? The first is an acknowledgement of the role that the media